Well, let's return to Parliament House Canberra now, where Malcolm Turnbull's leadership is under pressure this morning. Tony Abbott is a senior Liberal frontbencher and he's in our Parliament House studio. Tony Abbott, welcome to breakfast.
Morning, Fran.
Tony Abbott, if there is a leadership spill tomorrow, will you be a contender?
Well, that's a hypothetical, isn't it? We had an interesting day yesterday. The good thing that came out of yesterday were a whole lot of very significant concessions by the government, a tacit confession that the original ETS that the government proposed was very, very gravely flawed. I think that was a win for the coalition, and that's where we stand.
So you agree then with Malcolm Turnbull that the numbers went his way, majority support in that party room for this bill?
Well, there are arguments about just how many were one way and just how many were the other way.
Well, you were there. What did you think?
Well, we had a very lively and interesting discussion, and I'm not going to go into precise numbers. I think the leader has a right to call it. I think Malcolm is a good leader. I think that he's a very substantial figure in our public life, and I'd like him to stay as leader.
Okay, whether the leader did call it, but even as he called it, it was pretty tight, 47-46 according to his figures, I think. There is a formal application now for a meeting to be called for a spill tomorrow. Do you think the leader should allow that to happen?
Well, I think that normal party processes should take place.
What does that mean?
Well, I'm not the person who presides over these things, and I'm not one of the persons who have been talking to the whip about what might or might not happen tomorrow. So I'm not going to set myself up as an expert on all of this. I'm just saying, Fran, that normal party processes should take place. But I think yesterday was a good day for Australia because a bad ETS, a very bad ETS, was much improved.
So let me get this clear. You want this ETS, the compromise bill as negotiated by the coalition, to be passed this week in the Senate?
I want to see the party's position upheld in the Senate. That's what I want to see.
Because that isn't what you wanted to see a few days ago, was it? You wanted the coalition to vote against this.
Fran, one thing, I'm sure you'll understand this. One thing I won't do is go into chapter and verse of what may or may not have been said by different people in the party room or in the shadow cabinet. I've read all the reports. Journalists, professional journalists, don't usually get it wrong, but I'm just not going to comment on what might or might not have been said by individuals in particular party meetings.
All right. You say normal processes, party process should happen. I'm not exactly sure what that means. As I understand it, it's in the leader's gift to grant a special meeting for a spill or not. Let's just get this clear, though, because I'm sure you know the answer to it. Are you a challenger for the leadership if the leadership becomes vacant?
Look, I am not challenging the leader. I can't say what's going to happen tomorrow, but I am not challenging the leader. I want the leader to continue in his role.
So you have no baton in that knapsack?
If you're asking me, do I never want to be the leader ever? Look, of course, I want to serve the party, and I'm not going to say never to these things. But Malcolm Turnbull was elected as the leader about a year ago. We all expected him then to lead us to the election. I want that to happen.
Okay, so just to clarify this, you don't know yet. Are you saying you don't know if there will be a spill tomorrow, if that will go ahead?
Look, I'm not sure. We had a day yesterday which was a debate about policy, not about leadership, and I wouldn't want to say what might or might not happen tomorrow.
Shadow Cabinet will meet at 8 this morning. What's the purpose of the meeting, and will you be asking the leader whether he's going to allow a special meeting tomorrow for that spill?
Well, I'm not sure that that's going to be on the agenda, and let's wait and see what is on the agenda.
I'm sure you could put it on the agenda. Do you want it clarified?
Look, I'm sure a lot of things will be discussed today, Fran, in all sorts of contexts, but as I understand it, the meeting at 8 o'clock is to talk about Senate tactics today.
Tony Abbott, at the end of this, whichever way you cut it, Malcolm Turnbull has only just scraped over the line on this issue. It was a very heated debate. He didn't have a lot of support when he originally was voted leader. He leads a very divided party today. Do you agree with that?
I think that if you look at the community, there are a lot of views, sometimes contradictory views in the general community when it comes to this whole ETS issue. I think that a lot of people are anxious about what seems to be happening with climate, and we should take prudent precautions against foreseeable risks. The questions are, how much do we want to spend immediately to guard against possible risks in 50 or 100 years' time? And I think these are important debates, and I don't think anything that happens today or tomorrow or even this year or next year is going to end those debates.
Tony Abbott, we hit the news in 25 minutes. Can you just say, do you think by the end of this week, 35 seconds, sorry, Malcolm Turnbull will still be the leader of the Liberal Party?
So you mean I can filibuster
for 10
the
seconds.
next 20 seconds?
10 now.
Look, I hope so. I want Malcolm to continue. He's a good man and he's doing a good job in difficult circumstances.
Tony Abbott, thanks very much for joining us on Breakfast.
Thanks, Fran.
Liberal frontbencher Tony Abbott. You're listening to ABC Radio National. It's news time now, 6:30.